Hello, witches. We are back because it is Wednesday. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven. Grab your goat, grab a tall drink, grab a wand or two, or something you can go up or down with, and let's talk about movies. Now, we were going. I'm the host here, and I can't talk. My name is Patti Negri. I am one of your hosts. We were going to do Twilight tonight. Tonight was the vampire Twilight. But there's been some very interesting things happening since yesterday. So instead, we mutually all decided this is going to be a tribute to Dolly Parton and Tim Curry. I think the whole world loves Dolly Parton and Tim Curry, and they have left us much too soon. So that is going to be the celebration of tonight. And all you Twilight fans, come back next week. All you Twilight fans, come back next week. Courtney will be hosting because she is the biggest Twilight fan. Again, now that I'm talking again, my name is Patti Negri. I am one of your hosts. You probably know me from Witching Hour podcast, my school, University Magicus, Ghost Adventures, Overnight, Sam and Colby, and Bathroom Walls Across America. But let me introduce you to my regular cast of regulars, starting with the ever elegant Heather Greene.
Oh, me first. Okay. I wasn't ready for that. Well, I'm so happy to be back. I just came back from Japan. I was there visiting my child who lives there. And it was a great whirlwind and fun time, but I missed everyone here, missed y'all, and I'm glad to be back. I am the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. And I do mention both Dolly and Tim Curry in my book, just because I knew that was going to be a question. I am also a journalist and an editor at Llewellyn Worldwide. Happy to be back, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And my editor at Llewellyn. Yay. All right, let's move it down to the dragon woman herself, Miss Courtney Buckely.
That's me, Courtney Buckly, Ghost Bait on Scared and Alone. And I have some exciting dragon news for you guys this week. She's not with me right now, but the reptile that I've been most excited to introduce everyone in the coven to, we had our big breakthrough this week, and normally she is terrified of me, and her nickname is Lightning because she flies around the house. She's the reason we had to reptile escape proof the reptile room because she got into the wall. But we had our big breakthrough this week, and now she loves her mom and climbs on me and lets me pick her up. So pretty soon, when she's fully trustworthy, she'll be making an appearance. So it's Taka the Tegu. That is the nobody puts baby in the corner reptile.
Thank you. We are excited. We will hold our breath until that happens. Okay, let's go down to the Golden Locks one himself, Jason Mankey.
I am Jason Mankey. I'm the author of 10 books. That's not 9. That's 10 books, plus the editor of one anthology. So it's almost 11. I can be found at bookstores across America, often wearing a stylish Skeletor shirt. I dressed up for everybody tonight. Damn.
We appreciate that. Thank you. All right. And in a very special appearance, the one and only Richard-Lael.
I am Richard-Lael. If I were just Richard, I'd be a... Yeah, that's right. I am known as the Gentleman Psychic. I'm a psychic medium. Used to be a psychic small, but I gained some weight. That being said, I am also known from Ghost Adventures. I am known from University of Magicus. I am known from Anthony Padilla's podcast. I am really easy to find. Also, if you would like to sleep with me, you can go right over here to wherever that might be, to mysterycontrol.com. You can get my pillow and you can sleep with me. And then one day you might be able to get into Patty's panties. We have to wait on those tariff things. You can also be a bro witch. You can get Heather's books. You can get quotes. You can get I Didn't Mind It. You can get all kinds of apparel. Also, make certain you are hitting the like, the comments, the shares. We see your comments. It helps us to continue to give great entertainment for people like you. So keep those comments coming.
Thank you very much. Just go to Mystery Control. And of course, in our chat room, our lovely co-coven member, Miss Tabitha, is there somewhere keeping you all in line? There's Miss Tabitha.
So now as me and Jason are misbehaving.
They're misbehaving already. Well, I don't know how exactly. This is kind of a free-for-all. But we do want to announce, before we get into our comms, we have something. We have a very special announcement that's starting out Friday. We have a new series. The Witches Movie Coven has a brand new series called The Witches Movie Coven Inner Circle. And remember that fabulous film we did a couple weeks back, The Mother of Flies? Our own Scarlett Amaris is interviewing John Adams and Toby Poser in our very first interview show of the Witches Movie Coven, The Inner Circle. That's going to drop this Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're really excited about that. So check it out. We're growing. The witches are growing.
I don't know about you guys, but it's live streaming. I'm going to be in the chat watching it along with everyone else because I requested that Scarlett ask Toby if she would be my mom, if she would adopt me, because I want to be just like her when I grow up, and I need to see if she asked and what the answer was or wasn't. So I will be there watching with everyone.
This Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific. So, all right. Again, we are definitely putting on hold Twilight, but this was a really rough week for 80-year-olds in Hollywood, I must say. Two of the most beloved. So we want to start with Dolly first because we heard about Dolly first. Heather.
I mean, I love them both, and I think we can talk
back and forth.
I just think that they both are still the most unifying forces in the universe at a time when everything is so divided. Who wouldn't love Tim Curry? Who wouldn't have a clue? I wouldn't have a clue. If they didn't love Dolly, then they'd have to find a 9-to-5 job or something. That's what I say. No, what's not to love? Also, what I think is, I think that Death got the wrong 80-year-old actor from Home Alone. That's a personal thought. Also, ironically, in 2017, not mentioning any names, in 2017, a certain actor people were threatening to digitally remove that actor from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and digitally imprint Dolly Parton in that role because she was universally beloved.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
And again, I'm sure we have all sorts of facts, and I think Heather did a little fact thing. But I mean, you know that she was working up until the very, very, very end. 6 days before I just read 6 days before her death, she was still breaking records on August 19th of record sales and stuff. How many number ones? How many everything? And there's just nobody like her. And the philanthropy work she did. So, Heather, I know you put together a little.
I'm sorry. She could have been a billionaire, but she gave away $650 million.
And how many 100,000 books to kids?
300 plus.
You talk about her working until the end. I was in Tennessee for Pagan Unity Festival, and one of my friends from high school desperately wanted to take me to a Buc-ee's, which is the Walmart of truck stops, right? I mean, it's bigger than a Walmart. It's huge. The brisket is very good. But on our way back, we saw all these signs for Dolly's answer to Buc-ee's, which is getting ready to open. And there were so many signs, we thought maybe it had already soft opened, and we were really sad that it didn't. But, she was doing things until the very, very, very end. And that just opened the other day. And yeah, if only I had gone a little later, I could have been there.
Wow.
What town is it in, Jason?
Oh, it's kind of right on the border between, I think, Alabama and Tennessee. Okay. It's in an area where there's nothing but highways, and on the back roads, Dollar General stores.
Oh my.
Well, that won't be too far from me. Maybe I'll be able to get a ride out that way and check out Dolly's Buc-ee's, because I've been to Buc-ee's. I've actually been to the Buc-ee's that's right next to Dolly World, and I was really hoping when I specifically went to that Buc-ee's, hoping that it had Dolly type stuff in it, and it did not. Buc-ee's is horrifying otherwise. It's
Dolly's too smart to let her merchandise into Buc-ee's.
Well, I was hoping they just had it because it's right there in Sevierville, right by Pigeon Forge and all that. So I was like, I got to go to the Dolly World Buc-ee's, but
My
No
first
such
time,
luck.
my first time at Bucky's, it's like you could do bridal registry there and get a thing to carry the deer on top of your car for when you shoot the deer, and then really good fudge. And I'd never been, I was just jaw dropped. It is bigger than a Walmart, and it's a gas station.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge down here.
Well,
It's
I did
huge
want to
down
do
here.
a bridal registry.
You can get anything with Bucky on it, the logo, anything. You
And-
name it. I have pictures. I have pictures. If I could get a chance, I could send some pictures to our producers, and you can see this. If you haven't been to Bucky's, definitely one time you must see it. But if you want me to give you some facts about Dolly, and then Tim, and we can
Yes.
go from there.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of a preview. It's not like the normal 5 things, obviously, because it's not a movie. So I'm going to give you a little Dolly, then a little Tim, and then you guys take it away. So it was really hard for me to encapsulate all the things that both of these people have done in their lives to give you a taste. So I did just a little bit, and I have lots of dates and notes if we have questions to be able to refer to if anyone wants extra data. But let's just start with Dolly's birth date. January 19th, 1946 in Tennessee, rural Tennessee, eastern Tennessee, Sevier County, Sevierville area. That's where she has Dollywood, Pigeon Forge area. She started out playing, if you've ever watched her talk about her childhood, she grew up very poor, number one, and number two, she's very open about that. There were 12 kids, I believe, and she had pretty much had a guitar, and that is what she had. And she started writing music as early as 5 with her mother's help. She appeared for the first time at the Grand Ole Opry, and at the age of 13, and through the late 50s and 60s, she was on local television, local radio, making performances. This began at an early age, very different than Tim Curry, who started a little bit later in his world. She then, at 67, 74, she was in a duo. She joined another person and was part of a duo. They were on a show, a local show. Eventually, she was discovered, started her RCA contract, split from the duo. The actual splitting from the duo, fun fact, when she left, that's what prompted her to write I Will Always Love You. So that's what that was about. Now, the partner in the duo, Porter, I believe, was not her husband. She had already married her husband by this point. But the splitting was quite significant for her emotionally. And so that's where that song came out of, one of her most famous and most profitable songs. So let's get to songs. So to list the number of songs this woman has written and performed is absolutely impossible. I'm sure we all have our favorites from 9 to 5 through Here You Come Again, some of her best, I Will Always Love You, etc., etc. She had 2 songs that actually featured witches. One is called, I wrote it down, Mountain Angel in 2001, a bluegrass song, and These Old Bones 2002. I think that also was a bluegrass song. They actually feature witches. Other than that, you have everything from Christian music to country music. She has sang with Beyonce, Sabrina Carpenter, of course, Miley Cyrus, and a ton of other people, country western people. She's won 11 Grammys, 3 Emmys, one Academy Award for her humanitarianism. Although she had other nominations, these are just her wins. 13 Academy of Country Music Awards, 10 Country Music Awards, Entertainer of the Year in 1978 by the Country Music Association, Woman of the Year in 1986 by the Country Music Association, the Country Music Writers Award in 1986, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 22, and a Kennedy Center Award in 2006. She also has a Tony nomination, not an award, for Dolly the Musical. So it always ends with a musical, right? It's just me.
As it should.
So this is what she's known for, her music. This is what got her started. Now let's talk about movies, Rhinestone, because we are the Movies Coven.
Oh, no.
She appeared in a lot of movies and television shows, which I'll get to in a second, that were related to country music and to music. She appeared as herself, or they were like, Kenny Rogers with Kenny Rogers, or Christmas specials and stuff. But if
The
we're
Beverly
talking about,
Hillbillies.
yes, if we're talking Coat of Many Arms, so if we're talking about movies that she's not actually specifically playing herself or just doing a country music thing, we have 9 to 5 was her premiere, 1980. I just watched that 2 nights ago, or last night or 2 nights ago. Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, saw that about 6 months ago. Steel
Ooh.
Magnolias, Beverly Hillbillies. More recently, and I'm just listing a few of them, Joyful Noise, filmed here in Atlanta. I was supposed to be in that actually, and my kids got sick. But there's one, why is she in my book? She was in a TV movie called Smoky Mountain Christmas. That is sort of a fairy tale, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs type thing going on. And she is the princess figure, of course, a country music singer, and there is a witch. So that's how she wound up in my book. Smoky Mountain Christmas, 1986. Of course, in TV, same thing. Most of her TV shows are specials, Christmas specials, country music specials, etc. Throughout, she appears with tons of people, including the Muppets. But she also did the voiceover in Alvin and the Chipmunks. She was on Hee Haw, Hollywood Squares. You did all these appearances. But additionally, notably, she was in Designing Women. A lot of people like to point that out. She's not herself in that. She's a character. She also voiced in The Simpsons. She voiced Magical School Bus. There's Smoky Mountain Christmas. And of course, she was on Hannah Montana. But most recently, and probably the most touching to me, is that she did one of the last episodes. It might have been the last episode, very last episode of Grace and Frankie. Or if you haven't seen Grace and Frankie, it is late 2010s with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. And she was invited on to do a cameo and it's hard to say without tearing up, she winds up being an angel in heaven at the very end. And she does this appearance, and it's the reuniting of the 3 women who started her movie career in 9 to 5. And it was such a beautiful moment, and I'm already getting feels from talking about that. So Grace and Frankie, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. So last, some little tidbits about Dolly that are kind of fun. So I already mentioned the witch songs. She's got this humanitarian award. Why? We mentioned some of them already, but she did help us fund the COVID vaccine through Vanderbilt Hospital, which is where she passed away. Of course, Dollywood exists in Pigeon Forge. If you haven't been there, it's just in Eastern Tennessee. It's a special place. You have Imagination Library. We've already mentioned that. 300 million books out. She did this partially because her father could never read. This was inspired by him in tribute to him. She also was, she gave money, and this is not something that's I've read anywhere. I just know this from my own research and work I did on an article a long time ago. She gave money to many of the people who were burned out of their homes during the Gatlinburg fire. I believe that was like 2018, 2017. Lots of people were burned out. That is her home territory. So she promised funds to all those people who were burned out of their homes during that time. She has given money away to lots of other charities. These are just a few. She has also produced Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just a little side note. And she entered famously in a drag contest as Dolly Parton and lost. Funny enough. And finally, she was a big supporter of the LGBTQ community. She has Gay Day, as they call it, as she called it, at Dollywood, and also supported Common Threads and gave money to AIDS research back in the 80s. So she was a big advocate and ally to the queer community in general. And she did actually say that something like, we are all, that it's not for her to judge. That's for God. We are all people, and she just loves everybody. It's not for her to worry about that. And she died of cancer. She was put in the hospital in August 21st. And she died 4 days later at Vanderbilt Hospital.
At 9:25.
925, which is going to be Dolly Day in this household. So, and I'm just going to take a moment. Let me breathe. Hold on. Ground and center. Let's move to Tim Curry.
If you need a second, I pulled some Dolly quotes. I can hop in.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah.
All right, give me
Then
I
we'll
was
move to Curry.
I was not prepared to pull them up so fast. Hold on one second, please.
Did you use the one I sent you in the chat?
I didn't see it.
Don't make me cry.
Well, I'm going to probably. She said, don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. You'll never do a whole lot unless you're brave enough to try. And if people want to pass judgment, they're already sinning. I try to love everyone. She said, I have a huge gay following and I'm proud of them. Sometimes some of them look more like me than I do, which is when I learned about the Dolly, the contest that she was in. She said, if you're gay, you're gay. If you're straight, you're straight. And you should be allowed to be how you are and who you are. I think everyone should be treated with respect. I don't judge people, and I try not to get too caught up in the controversy of things. I hope that everybody gets a chance to be who and what they are. I just know if I have to pee, I'm going to pee. I don't care where it's going to be. She said her drag name would be P Titty, which I thought was incredible. And the last one is, why can't they be as miserable as us heterosexuals in their marriages? I think love is love, and we have no control over that, and people should be allowed to marry. So, icon.
She was the ultimate, talk about glamour queen. What she created, her persona, her band, it's just larger than life. The hair, the rhinestone. She just went for it like nobody else.
One of the quotes that I found, she talked about that. She said that it takes a lot of money to look as fake as she does, and that she's proud of it.
Yeah, no.
See, that's from an interview I saw. I don't know, documentary. It's been too long since I watched it. But that's the quote is from there, and she's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and that's it. She makes no apologies. She makes no apologies for who she is.
What? Hold on. Ridiculous in the chat. Juan's up for P Titty. No. I gotta get on that. Juan's up for P Titty.
Yes.
Would you like to move to Curry now?
Yes.
And then we'll do quotes from him because yes. So Tim Curry, okay, it's a very different character, very different personality, but same in many ways. Tim Curry, he began his life in April 19th, 1946, the same year, several months later. And he traveled. His dad was a Methodist minister chaplain in the Navy, so they traveled around a lot. And he wound up landing eventually in Plymouth, England, where he grew up. So how did he get started in acting? Unlike Dolly, who got started at the age of 5 and was sort of found and discovered, he was studying acting and doing a little acting in his schools various times, and then eventually left and went to study acting in university. And still, his family wasn't discovered. What happened is that he was asked to audition for, or someone said, come audition for this London production of Hair. And he lied about his acting experience and his connections, got a part in Hair. He didn't fill it out. He didn't finish the production because he didn't like his role in the background, but he said that got him started. That's where he started making his connections. He made Ian McKellen. Then he started hanging out with the folks in the West End, and that's what sort of got him started. It was at that point. Now, he was in a few other plays because he loved the theater. Theater was his first love. At that point, he met somebody, a friend, who said, hey, why don't you audition for Rocky Horror Picture, the play, the stage show in London? He said, okay, immediately got the part, again, as Frankenfooter. So the part we know him as. He got that on the stage first. He did that in London. He did it in several places to huge success. It came, of course, to Broadway. It played in Los Angeles, I believe, first. Came to Broadway, was a flop on Broadway, but by that point, it was such an iconic role and such an iconic piece and had success, they made the movie. And that is how he got started. So that's quite amazing. Again, it's important to know that theater was his first love. And he was constantly trying to get back to theater. And he does theater throughout his whole career. And I'll give you some of those in a minute. Well, actually, let's go to that now. So, as I said, Rocky Horror Picture Show was not only his first movie, but it was his first play if you don't count Hair. So some of the other ones he's been in.
Hairs.
Hair is a great musical, first of all. He would have been great if he had done the successful Broadway one. He would have been fantastic in Hair, but he was not. So other ones, Pirates of Penzance, he plays the Pirate King. What a fantastic role for him. 1982, I would have loved to see that. Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge, 2001. Seriously, Amadeus, 1980. He is in my favorite year, 1992. I'm bringing that up because that was one of the ones he got a Tony nomination for. I believe my favorite year had Ian McClellan in it, or no, that was Amadeus. My favorite year, I can't remember who else was in it with him. More recently, Spamalot. He was in the original cast of Spamalot as King Arthur. What another fantastic role for him. I think it was Eric Idle asked him to be in it from 2004 to 2007. He has won he got 3 Tony nominations, never winning, but he did get some smaller awards for his theatrical performances. And he had other roles. These are just a few of the bigger ones that I'm mentioning. Movies, of course, very first, how did he get started? Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, what a movie to get started with. Now, of course, it wasn't a huge success right out of the gate, but he has become a legend because this movie has become a legend. So
he is a legend in Legend.
Yes, and he's legend. We'll get to Legend in a second. But after that he led to a string of movies, and he doesn't do I was just talking to my partner. It's like he's in all of these things. He's these fantastic personality roles. He's never the leading man, rarely the leading man, but he's there in all of these roles. And you just go, oh, I just saw him in this. Oh, I just saw him in this. So right after Rocky Horror, there's a few other movies, but then you have Annie in 1982, where he plays Rooster. One of my favorite roles he does. Clue in 85, Legend, he plays Darkness, who was just up there in 85. He was we've seen him in The Shadow, 1994 movie we did. Of course, Addams Family Reunion. He's also in The Worst Witch. Now, I have a long list of his other movies because there's a ton of others. So we can talk about those and you guys can bring them up. But I want to say that television, equally as important. Let me just get the list because I have them there. So he has made appearances, again, not starring, not being the front man for a show, but he has appeared in so many television shows, either in a season, a couple episodes. We have, I'm just going to list some: Tracy Ullman, Roseanne, Tales from the Crypt, It, of course, Will and Grace, Monk, Family Affair, Color of Magic, Criminal Minds, Pinky and the Brain, and let me see, and a bunch of others, Oliver Twist. But more importantly, and I think this is the big one for me, and I didn't realize how much he had done, his voiceover work. And he's gotten awards for his voiceover work. And I'm just going to list a bunch of voiceover stuff for us. 90s, most of his voiceover work was done in the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Fern Gully, Beauty and the Beast, the Christmas, he actually got an award for that one. Rugrats, Wild Thornberries, my child loved Wild Thornberries. The Lion of Oz, Bartok the Magnificent, Scooby-Doo, and the Witch's Ghost, one we've talked about here. Garfield, another Scooby-Doo, and let's see, Paddington Bear, Tiny Toons, Tailspin, Darkwing Ducks. Any of these sound familiar?
I used to love Darkwing Ducks.
Batman, the animated series, Dinosaurs, Little Mermaid, Sonic, Aladdin, Gargoyles, all TV shows. He also has done the voiceover for Higglytown Heroes, for those who have had kids. You know what that show is. Phineas and Ferb, anyone? Ben 10, Jimmy Neutron, Transformers, The Rescue Bots, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Wonder Pets, and most recently, it was Over the Garden Wall, if anybody has seen that show. He actually has one coming out in I think it's 2027. I don't know, maybe later in 2026 and 2027. So this man was also working up until the time he died. He actually won an Emmy Award for his voicing of the, let me see, it was a book series, God, what's the name of it? Hang on a second. The Lemony Snicket books. The Lemony
So weird. I have the whole pile of them right next to me.
A series of unfortunate events.
A series of unfortunate. So he actually got an Emmy Award for his work on voicing that particular book. So some oddities about him. Again, he did the voiceover for the Lemony Snicket's books. There they are. He actually had a music career from 78 to 81. He produced he released 3 musical albums and then gave up on his attempt to be a music artist, although he had a phenomenal voice and started in the boys choir in the church. He has a memoir out called Vagabond. He finally settled down in a home in, I think it was the 80s in LA, when he came to LA, and bought a 1920s mansion and restored it, and loved to restore it to its original thing, being very specific about its antiques. And then finally, I want to tell you one quote he said more recently, which I have written down somewhere. Hang on, when I get to the end of my papers. I don't fear death, he says. I try to avoid it, and I think we all do, but I suspect that in the end, I will welcome it. So I hope that he has welcomed death. He was found dead in his home at 11:30 p.m. Tuesday night. They have not released the condition, but the police said there was no foul play. So he has, and I just leave you with this. I think Tim Curry, for me, and both Dolly, what's the same about them is that they both, what it makes me think of is the song I Did It My Way. And I think Tim Curry and both Tim Curry and Dolly inspire us to live our lives our way. No apologies, live big, and do it your way. And so I leave you with that. And I think the messages from both of them come through, and that's their magic.
That is magic. And I love that he loved it. I must say, I was in high school and I saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show play in LA. It was at the Roxy, which is a big music venue here. That was life-changing for me, just seeing the play. I'd never seen anything like it. I was way underage to be there. I maybe was 14, maybe 15. So much so it changed my life that when the movie came out, it took me a while to warm up to the movie because the play had been so life-changing for me, seeing at the Roxy and how they staged the whole thing. So I love that he just stayed true to himself. They both did.
I have a Tim Curry story.
Please.
So famously, I one of the many characters that I played was Frankenfurter, and there is me performing on stage as Dr. Frank. Behind is of course Tim, but I was lucky enough to perform as Frank, and I met him twice. The first time I met him doesn't really count, but it does count because I'm a psychic. So the first time I met Tim, I was dressed in the corset and the 9-inch heels, and I was going one direction and Tim was going the other direction. And he met me at this crossroads. And Tim pulls up and he's wearing his black turtleneck and he's in his wheelchair and he looks at me in the dream and he says, "That's nice." And then I wake up and I think, okay, that was funny. That was quite a funny little encounter. The very next day, my friend Nicole says to me, she's Italian, and she says, baby, please come. Oh, Tim Curry is in West Hollywood. Please come, please come, please come. He's at the Soup of Books or Book Soup or whatever it is in West Hollywood, and you must have come. You must have come. And I said, no, I have heard he does not want people showing up dressed as Frankenfurter. No, and there's going to be lots of people there, and they will throng him, and I do not want to be party to it. She says, no, please come, please come, please come, please come. So I relented, and there were like 10 people there. Nobody else was dressed up. And I walk in, 10 foot tall in heels. And Tim Curry comes in his wheelchair, and he looks at me and he says, "That's nice." And then I said to him, "Tim, I appreciate you so very much. I want you to know how much that you have inspired every aspect of my life, not just from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but your love of the theater, your love of the craft, your love of music has inspired me in so many ways. And I just wanted to let you know that you really are a legend and you are my hero." And he said, "That's nice. What a lovely thing to say." So that was the actual meeting of Tim, but where I first sort of, it changed my world. He changed my world. I was a little closet queen, a little baby, Richard-Lael, Richie then. I was a little closet queen. And a friend of mine that I had worked with had invited me to her house to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I had such strange feelings, both about what I was observing on the screen, and her blonde hair and a tan brother had his shirt off, and he had the beautiful little ripply abs, and I was like, clutch the pearls. And then time went by, and I started listening to the Rocky Horror soundtrack, and I was doing this show called Dream Sequence. It was not sequence, but sequins, like, sequins. And it was a throwback to the 70s, where I went from playing a man to playing a drag queen to playing a man. It was I went from Rico Suave in Her Name Was Lola, she was a showgirl. I played Rico Suave, and then I had to go back off stage and come back on in full drag, because I was singing Macho Man in Vegas drag. And so they were layering the makeup, and backstage they said, "My God, you look like Tim Curry." And I said, "This Curry is hot." And they said, "You sound like him too." So years went by, and I actually got the pleasure of playing Dr. Frank. But I will say, what I love about the accent that he gives as Dr. Frank is it's so distinct. And originally, when he was doing the play version, he was trying to figure out what accent that the doctor had. And he originally thought it was going to be German, and it was just too harsh, and it was just wrong. And he's on the bus in London, and he hears these two little old ladies, and one says, "Have you a house in town or one in the country?" And he went, "That's it. That sort of sophisticated old lady became Frankenfurter." And that was sort of where.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there was that. And of course, with Dolly, I grew up in the Midwest, and my sister was blonde, and here I am with the guy, I think Joe is his name, from Criminal Minds. His daughter, by the way, I will tell you the story of that one. So my friend Denise Bellavlasas is friends with Joe. His daughter is autistic, highly functioning, but autistic, and loves more than anybody on the planet Dr. Frankenfurter. Yes, all of the other ones, Dr. Frank is her number one person forever. And I was hired to play Frank at her birthday party. And I drove in my hearse, and I marched in. They were playing the film in the other room, and we timed it just perfectly to the point where Tim enters down the elevator and then comes through the party as I'm coming through the party. And she was so excited, and she couldn't believe that her hero was there. And Joe was so kind to me. He was so sweet. He said, "You really impacted my daughter. You gave her what she was looking for, and you gave her that dream." And he knew Tim. He actually knew Tim Curry, but I was able to give his daughter that dream. So, I got to meet Tim. That was my dream. And then with Dolly, I grew up in the Midwest, and my sister was a beauty queen, and she was blonde, and she was curvy, and she was also a closet case herself. But that's neither here nor there. And she had both a crush on Dolly Parton and Elvira, which I also did too. Who wouldn't love Dolly Parton and Elvira? So
what do they share in common? I
don't know. It's a titillating question.
Yes. Wonder what assets they had that make them similar.
P titty and E titty, whatever.
That's fun.
I have some Tim Curry quotes, not a lot.
Please.
Not as many as I had for Dolly, but I did really like the ones that I found for him. This one stuck with me, actually. The dreams of youth are the regrets of maturity. And I think, isn't that, because what's so funny is I was just sitting here when Heather was telling us all of the research that she did, and Dolly had written her first song at 5 years old. And I literally sat here and I thought, I've done nothing since I was 5 years old. Like there's not anything in my life that I've done since I was 5. Like I missed it. I missed the thing that I could be good at. But Tim Curry reminds us that's not true. He said, I am not a conventional leading man at all, and I have no wish to be. He said, don't dream it, be it. And
then he was it, Pennywise.
Yeah. Any part that makes you world famous has got to be a blessing, hasn't it? And then he said, I still find it quite easy to find my way into a child's imagination. We're all Peter Pan ourselves in some respects. Everybody should keep some grip on childhood, even as a grown-up. And I think that that's one of the most important life lessons that we could learn, because I think the minute you forget how to have that childhood joy or excitement that you experienced when you were a kid and you saw something like, that's when we lose the magic. So that right there, that is the secret. That's the secret to the magic, is never lose that childhood wonder. So those are my Tim Curry quotes.
That is beautiful.
I have one quote. I'm still alive. And the funny thing about that quote in particular was it was someone on the Republican side who had said that he was irrelevant and that he was dead or some sort of thing. And Tim would snap back on Twitter. I dead name it, I know, but he would snap back and he said, "No, I'm still very much alive." So
that was after his 2012 stroke. I'm assuming that they were claiming that because he went into rehab and everything for his voice and everything. Mm-hmm. So they were claiming, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I did a table reading of Rocky Horror for the Biden campaign for the Democratic Party in Wisconsin, which I'm sure did not sit well with Republicans, but someone who is in the Rocky Horror Picture Show as Frankenfurter probably is not voting for Republicans. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Right. Also, with Dolly, someone who is, even though she was apolitical mostly, she was for Black Lives Matter. Uh-huh. She believed in healthcare. She was for LGBTQIA rights. She was for women's rights. So she didn't expressly say one way or the other, but people who are supporting, we have been demonized, whether we are pagan or gay or black, any minority, we have been demonized by the current.
But also because she did it the right way, the way that you were supposed to, where all of those things that you just listed are human rights, and should not be political, because they should just be human rights. And as a billionaire who treated money correctly and did good things with that money, everyone who does not follow in her footsteps should be ashamed, because she proved if you wanted to, you would. And she did want to, and she did. So that's why, because we have politicized human rights, and I will never be quiet about that, and I will never stand for that. Just like she wasn't quiet about it.
And she changed the world one person at a time, with the books, with the charity, with the money when your house burned down. She probably did more than any politician could.
Yep.
She lived that. I mean, that's what's so remarkable, and it's hard to even talk about her without getting the feels, is because she lived a truth that we all talk about. We all hope that if we had those millions, we would do the same thing. She lived the truth of being a good human being and citizen of the world, something we all strive for, and we saw her do it. And she didn't starve herself in doing that. You can see she lived fully. She got every surgery she wanted to get, and unapologetically, and did all the things, and she still was able to find time to give money to the people who were burned in Gatlinburg, just regular people. She was a human being. She was not a star. She was a star, of course, but she was a human being and knew that and lived that truth. And I think Tim Curry's quote about not letting go of your childhood, I think that applies to Dolly too. I think she didn't ever let go of what made her successful. You know, that childhood dream stayed with her, and she kept going. And I was gonna say, I lost it, what I was gonna say, but I think that's really what's so powerful with Dolly and Tim Curry too, is that living that truth and not letting go of that childhood aspect of yourself. So very impressive.
And she was a super good businesswoman. Really amazing. And still being able, not the bitch, not the whatever. She was nice and giving, and she held on to the rights to her music. She held on to all this stuff. I even read a thing that she turned down Elvis because the colonel wanted part of the rights. She resented that, but it held on to everything. To be that good of and respected businesswoman, and again, being as a woman, she didn't have to be manly to be strong by any means. She was the girliest girl you ever met, and yet a good businesswoman.
That was one of the quotes that I found, and I'm paraphrasing this entirely. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about going to business meetings as a woman, not a man, and playing a man's game as a woman. And while they were sitting there oogling her, she was walking out with the money.
Before there was Taylor Swift, there was Dolly Parton. Right?
Yep.
There is no Taylor. There's no Shania Twain. There's none of that without Dolly Parton. I mean, she paved the way. She was the road.
Yeah. I saw her just a couple of years ago at the Hollywood Bowl. And I'm not good with time, but maybe 3 years ago. She was amazing, because I was at the time going, oh, she's up there in years, but you would never have known it. She commanded the Hollywood Bowl. She played her instrument. She sang. She had the full band. She never stopped. She didn't have to rest. She looked like a 30-year-old up there. It was amazing. And that was just maybe 3 years ago.
That's what that surgery will do. It'll keep you looking like a 30-year-old for a long time.
She ran like a 30-year-old. She sang like a 30-year-old.
She didn't half-ass anything. And I think we all appreciate that, right? Like, if I'm going to go on tour, I'm going to give you the Dolly experience, just like they got the Dolly experience 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell an awful, awful joke before we go too far? It's awful. It's bad. I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you this awful joke. So my mother used to tell me this joke, and she said, Dolly Parton is rich, and she is lucky enough to have every experimental surgery that you can have to keep herself looking young. But what people didn't know was that there was this one surgery that anytime she started to feel a little saggy, they installed a knob on her head under the wig. That's why she wears the wigs. And anytime she starts to feel a little saggy, all she has to do is turn that little knob, and then she went back into the doctor, and her skin is tight and she looks young. And the doctor says, what do you think of the thing? She says, I love it, but the problem is I started growing hair on my chin because
Richard-Lael!
Who told you this joke?
My mother.
Naughty.
Oh my God.
I had a Barbie doll that you twisted the head, but her hair grew.
You know, as someone's just staring down the barrel of my 40th birthday, I'm wondering if that is still in its experimental phase or not, because maybe I need one of those.
Courtney, you barely look like you're 19. You're
That's
doing
not
whatever
true, but thank you.
whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Stop sucking up to me, because I know we're gonna fight next week. So
We're
She's
not
at
gonna
the
fight.
twilight of her life.
We're not,
that's true.
I didn't.
I'm gonna make a shirt like.
I didn't write jokes tonight for my thing because this was not a joking matter, but I do have a little something I would like to share about both people. Some reminiscences. When I grew up, and Heather and I are about the same age, so she'll probably back me up on this. Dolly Parton was ubiquitous. You could not escape Dolly Parton at this period of time in the late 70s, early 80s. 9 to 5 was a movie that played on a loop back then on HBO. I probably watched it 2 or 3 dozen times over one summer. I didn't quite understand all of it because I was too young, but I knew who the bad guy was. And a few years later, I used to lip sync to Islands in the Stream as Dolly Parton, of course, for a friend's mom, stuffing my shirt with socks in order to try and replicate one of Parton's most famous assets. The only concert that I'm aware of my grandparents ever going to was a Dolly Parton concert. And of course, I had to ask them, how was it? Because it was the only thing I can imagine my grandparents seeing that I also would have been excited about seeing too. Dolly was a bigger than life celebrity, which often overshadowed just how talented of a singer and songwriter she was. Even when she was singing someone else's song, she made it her own. And I'm surprised we haven't said this over and over again tonight because I expected that we would, but she was also perhaps the only universally loved entertainer left on the planet. And I really mean that. Everybody seems upset with the passing of Dolly. That's because Dolly could duet with Kenny Rogers, write Whitney Houston's best song, cover Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, and show up on the Billboard Hot 100 with Kesha. The only person who could ever do all of that is Dolly, though Cher might come close. But the loss of Dolly hurts even more because Dolly was a good person. Dolly took all of her wealth and celebrity, and she did use it for the best plastic surgery money could buy. But even more importantly, she used it to better the world around her. By the time of her death, Dolly had donated nearly 300 million books to children through her Imagination Foundation. She bought band uniforms for high schools in Tennessee, paid the college tuition for people who worked at Dollywood, donated $1 million to help develop a COVID-19 vaccine. Compare what Dolly did to all the tech bros who waste their time on social media saying racist nonsense. Elon. A country girl from Tennessee who grew up in a one-room cabin was 1 million times the person assholes like Elon Musk are. And not in spite of her faith, but because of her faith, Dolly embraced the LGBTQ plus community. If there were more Christians like Dolly, we would have a lot fewer problems in the world today. As someone who grew up in Tennessee, I'm pretty passionate about Dolly Parton, but but before I'm done, I also have a few words to share about Tim Curry. Curry was a working actor his entire career, often taking roles most of us thought were probably beneath him, and then turning those throwaway jobs into unforgettable characters. I love him in The Three Musketeers, and I will not apologize for it. My friend Matt Cavalli, who wrote the Book of Spellcraft with me, shared this on his Facebook page today about Tim Curry. Rocky was so mesmerizing to me because I was a monster kid. So I got the satire of it all. The music was great, the characters were fun, and Frankenfurter quickly became added to my pantheon of idols. He was freedom, he was confident, he was fearless, and to a young gay boy with a flair for the dramatic, I was all into him. My poor parents. The Rocky Horror Picture Show told me I was okay being gay, and it took a long time still to accept that. But Rocky Horror was a stepping stone for myself and many others, and not just Frank. All the characters in the movie and the play tell us it's okay to be ourselves. Safe travels back to sweet transsexual in the galaxy of Transylvania. And if you don't like men with too many muscles, remember, he didn't make him for you. Don't dream it, be it. If that had been all Tim Curry had done during his career, we would still be talking about him tonight. It was that damn important. When we die, we go to the God's domain where, having rested a while, in their lovely country. We are prepared to be born again on this earth by the grace of the Great Mother. And we will be reborn among those we loved and will remember, know, and love them again. While those who do evil will have a stern schooling in the God's domain before they are fit to be reborn again, and then it will be among strangers. There were no strangers for Tim and Dolly. May the wheel continue to turn until we see you both again.
I almost made it through this show without crying.
Thank you.
Don't put me in a big spot. God, Jason, that was beautiful.
Jason, that
Remember,
was toast.
remember that, Courtney, next week when you hate me, okay? Please.
No, your name is still in a jar, Jason. It's not going.
Okay.
Oh, God.
It's okay. I get rid of that. It's
Right. Okay. Well, I don't.
Oh,
This obviously is a very different show for us. We're not wanding anything.
yes, we are. One's up, Tim and
Okay,
Dolly.
Juan's up for Tim and Dolly. Everything. Juan's up in the most amazing way. May their lights shine forever, and we know they will, forever and ever and ever and ever. So, everybody in the chat room, thank you for your jumping in. Not a dry eye in the house. I know this is hard. Yeah. But come back next week. You'll probably get hexing and cursing and sparkles.
Boy, oh boy, as host, do I have so many things to share with everyone, including I'm gonna have to send pictures to our producers, but I have the handmade prior to Cricket Machines merch that I made for the Twilight Midnight premiere. I have a piece of the Twilight set and a lot of things that I'm going to share with you guys, including I will have Post-its with me ready to write everyone in the chat.
I'm going in that jar next week.
Yep, everyone is going in the
I'm
jar.
telling you right now, there is no guessing how I'm voting next week.
I am proud to be in that jar. I am proud.
This will be
Courtney?
decorated with sparkles for Twilight, and anyone that disagrees with me is going in the jar next week. So
I have a special. I'm bringing a special show and tell for next week's show. He is waiting he's waiting over there. You will not see him till next week. So
Oh,
Courtney, you're
my
gonna be very
flowers are gasted. I can't wait.
that is beautiful. And Courtney will be hosting next week. I'm filming in Phoenix. If I can drop in to say hi, I will, but that's no guarantee. But you cannot be in better hands than Courtney's hands for the movie Twilight. And
I probably will have bone COVID and will be deathly ill. So,
I already told you that you're coming on whether you have bone COVID or not. And
black
I will make sure.
lung.
Nope. As someone who has survived tuberculosis, none of that is an excuse, and you will be here. So don't look
The
around.
power went out at the house.
Nope, it didn't go
I
out.
don't know how that happened.
No, it did not. It did not.
Somebody ran their own car into a electric pole.
No.
I
That's
dropped my
not-
phone.
No, you didn't drop your phone.
oh, all right. If anybody have anything coming up, if anybody's in LA this weekend, I'm doing a really special show. It's called Ghostlight. It's at a Little Hollywood theater, 2 theaters, actually a black box theater. We're doing a whole witchy hour or 2 ritual and magic and spell casting, and then we're going across the street to do paranormal investigation with my friend Pythian Priestess Ashley Ryan, because we're both known in the paranormal world and in the witchy world, and we're combining them in Ghostlight. So get a hold of me if anybody wants to come to LA. It's going to be super special. It's complete immersive. It's going to be really fun. It starts at 11 p.m. Saturday night. So that's what I have coming up. Anybody else have anything coming
I
up?
have something.
Okay, so
October 4th, I am going to have a tea party where my friend Sable Switch and I will be hosting here in this home in New Orleans. So we'll talk about Memento Mori. We'll talk about some ghost stories. And then if you would like, I will also be offering readings and a seance. Tickets are limited. It's not a big house. It may look like it in the pictures, but it has to be at least 10 times as big. What is it? A school for ants? Anyway, it's it's a limited one, but message me and I'll send you the link. I should have said it at the cruises, but on October 4th.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I'm turning 40 on Monday, so I will be deciding who I'm going to be in my crone years, because that's what I feel like I'm entering my cronehood, and that's why I need to watch.
Wrong.
Well, that's why I need to watch this interview that we are the inner circle that we are live streaming on Friday, because I need to know if Toby is going to teach me her ways or not, because then that will determine who I will be next week. So you may tune in on Wednesday to talk about Twilight, and I love different color hair or something. So we'll see.
That is amazing. So now we have had versus a cackling. We have been recommended to sing Jolene.
Absolutely not. We don't sing. We tried it one time. We're not doing it again.
Why?
What if we did instead? So when Dolly was making Jolene, someone had told her, my name is Jolene, and she was trying to remember the name, and she went Jolene, Jolene, Jolene,
Jolene,
Jolene.
Jolene,
Jolene.
Jolene.
Mystic Shield. I saw that. Jolene.
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 Don't steal my man.